Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into an herb that is a total game changer for both your garden and your kitchen. We're talking about lemongrass, that beautiful, fragrant grass that can completely transform your cooking. So let's get right into it. And you know what? That quote is spot on. It really is so much more exciting than it sounds. It might just look like some tall, simple grass, but trust me, by the end of this explainer, you're going to see how this one plant can become one of the most useful, flavorful, and surprisingly easy additions to your home. So what is this stuff really? Well, lemongrass, or Cymbopogon if you want to get scientific, is a tropical grass that originally comes from Southeast Asia. It's famous for that incredible citrusy smell. And that scent, it comes from a natural compound called citral, which, fun fact, is the exact same thing you find in lemon peels. That's why it's such a huge deal in so many different cuisines. You might also hear it called citronella grass or even fever grass in some traditional remedies. Now, for centuries, people have been using lemongrass for all sorts of potential wellness benefits. It's packed with antioxidants and is thought to have anti-inflammatory properties. A lot of people love it as a tea to help with digestion and bloating, and its essential oil is a superstar in aromatherapy for reducing stress. But, and this is super important, please remember that this is just for your information. It is absolutely not medical advice. For that, you always want to talk to a healthcare professional. All right, so here's what we've got on tap for today. First, we'll talk about 3 different ways you can get your own plant started. Then we'll get into the secrets of keeping your lemongrass super happy and healthy. We'll even tackle a few common problems and some really simple fixes. And then we get to the really fun part, harvesting, storing, and making more plants. And of course, taking it from your garden right into your kitchen. Okay, let's get our hands dirty. You've decided you need this plant in your life. Great choice, by the way. The good news is getting started is way easier than you might think. There are really 3 main ways you can go about it. So you've got 3 main options here. First up, there's propagation by division. This is perfect if you've got a friend with a big, happy lemongrass plant. Second, you can actually start a plant from the stalks you buy at the grocery store. Pretty cool, right? And third, you can go the traditional route and grow from seed. Each one has its pros and cons. And as you can see, a couple of these methods are just way easier. Growing from seed, honestly, it can be a little tricky. It's definitely the slowest way to go because it needs just the right temperature and moisture to even sprout. But division or using store-bought stocks, that's the fast track. You'll get a mature plant you can harvest from so much quicker. Seriously, with store-bought stocks, you just stick them in some water, wait for roots, and then plant them. It's that simple. Okay, so you've got your baby plant. Now, how do we make sure it grows into a big, happy, thriving plant? Well, the secret is actually super simple. Just think tropical. Give it that warm, sunny vibe it loves, and it will absolutely take off. Let's break down the 4 key things lemongrass absolutely needs. First, sunlight. It's a total sun worshiper, so give it at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sun a day. Next, water. It likes to stay consistently moist, but, and this is a big but, not soaking wet. For soil, a standard potting mix is perfectly fine as long as it's well draining. And what that really means is you just want the water to be able to flow through so the roots aren't sitting in a puddle. And finally, temperature. Remember, it's a tropical plant, so it loves the heat and it is not a fan of frost. You know, if you only remember one thing from this whole section, make it this. Good drainage is everything. Lemongrass can handle being a little thirsty now and then, but what it absolutely can't stand is sitting in soggy soil. We call that wet feet, and it's the fastest way to get root rot, which is one of the only things that can really hurt this plant. So yeah, avoid wet feet at all costs. Now, how you care for your plant really depends on where you live. If you're lucky enough to be in a warmer climate like USDA Zone 9 or higher, you can plant it right in the ground and it'll come back year after year like a perennial. But for the rest of us in colder areas, the best way to go is to plant it in a pot. That way, you can just bring it inside before that first frost hits and keep it safe all winter. One of the best things about lemongrass is how tough it is. Seriously, it's not bothered by many pests at all. But, things happen. If you do run into an issue, don't sweat it. The fixes are usually incredibly simple. So the most common thing you might see is something called lemongrass rust, these little orange spots on the leaves. It's a fungus, but the good news is it doesn't make the plant unsafe to eat. The best organic fix? Just snip off the affected leaves. This actually helps with air circulation and encourages new growth.
Now, if your leaves are turning yellow, that's usually the plant telling you one of two things: I'm thirsty or I need some food. So check the soil moisture or maybe give it a little nitrogen-rich fertilizer. And frost damage? Well, that one's all about prevention. Just get that pot indoors before it gets too cool.
All right, we've planted it, we've taken care of it, and now we've arrived at the best part, the harvest. This is where all your effort pays off and you finally get to enjoy that amazing homegrown flavor.
Harvesting is just so satisfyingly simple. First, you want to wait until the stalks are at least a ½ inch thick at the bottom. Then, just take some snips and cut the stalk as low as you can. Now you'll see these tough, kind of woody outer layers. Just peel those away. And what you're left with is this tender, pale, incredibly fragrant core. That is the prize. That's the good stuff for cooking.
And hey, don't let a single bit of that plant go to waste. For cooking, the absolute best way to store the tender part of the stalk is to chop it up and pop it in the freezer. It'll be ready to go whenever a recipe calls for it. And what about all those green leaves and tougher outer bits? Chop them up, let them dry out completely, and you've got the makings for a wonderfully soothing tea. And this is the real magic of lemongrass. It's literally the plant that keeps on giving. See, every stalk you harvest might have a little bit of root at the bottom. You can just replant that little piece, and boom, a whole new plant will start to grow. This means you can have a never-ending supply from just that one plant you started with. How amazing is that? Okay, we've grown it, we've harvested it, now it's time to eat. Let's talk about a few really simple, really delicious ways you can use your fresh lemongrass to totally elevate your meals, all while keeping things light and healthy. Oh, the possibilities are just endless here. You can make the most simple, soothing tea with just a little bit of honey. For soups, here's a great tip. Bruise the stalk. Just bend it a few times or give it a light whack with the back of a knife. This helps release all those incredible aromatic oils right into your broth. For stir-fries and marinades, you'll want to chop that tender core up really fine. You can even infuse your rice with its amazing scent. It adds this bright, zesty flavor without adding a single calorie. So there you have it, a plant that is not only delicious and super easy to grow, but it's also beautiful, smells incredible, and is endlessly sustainable. It adds flavor, it adds fragrance, and it's so useful in the garden. I mean, the only question left is, where are you going to plant yours? Thanks so much for joining me today.